What's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. In this video, we're going to the Canary Islands, where there's been a volcanic eruption on the island of La Palma, as most of you may already know. And I've gotten a lot of reports from people talking about the potential of a megatsunami if the side or the flank of this volcano were to collapse and slide into the ocean. The area we're talking about is right here. The Canary Islands set off the west coast of Africa, which is right here. And that's right in the path of all that Sahara sand that we've been following since early June of 2021, and it continues to make the 4,000-mile journey from West Africa all the way over to North America. The question is, if the flank of this volcano were to collapse and slide off into the ocean, how big of a tsunami would be generated by that flank collapse? We're going to talk about that here in just a moment, because this was discussed back in 2018 as we were watching Mount Kilauea erupt on the big island of Hawaii. And the southern flank of the volcano has collapsed in the past, and that's called the Helena slump. We talked about that in 2018 and what the side effects could have been if that were to collapse back then when the volcano was erupting, and it also followed several thousand earthquakes prior to the volcanic eruption. Just like over here at La Palma, there were over 22,000 earthquakes leading up to this volcanic eruption. First one in 50 years that's occurred in this location of the Canary Islands. During the past 14 days, there were 40 earthquakes of 3.0 or greater, 647 quakes between 2.0 and 3.0, 752 below 2.0, and then several hundred other ones even smaller than that, probably so small that they weren't even felt, but that's what happens prior to a volcanic eruption. We saw the same thing in Hawaii back in 2018, and we're going to come back and talk about the potential for a mega tsunami if that were to collapse the flank of that volcano and slide off into the ocean. But first, here at the website, quick look at the Schumann Resonance. You can see in the last 24 hours, there's been a few strong but very brief spikes in the Schumann, source unknown. Looking at the Earth-facing side of the sun, you can see sunspots are starting to develop and turn towards planet Earth, so look for an increase in solar activity. Hopping over to the Yellowstone supervolcano Caldera, looking at the seismographs that monitor the mighty supervolcano, you can see more earthquake activity in the last 24 hours. Just one, though. Yesterday, there were several small earthquakes around the Caldera. Even the magma intrusion, the dark blue, seems to be a little less today than it was yesterday. Yesterday was a very busy day at the supervolcano Caldera. Now coming back over here to the Canary Islands off the west coast of Africa, where the volcanic eruption is currently occurring. Several thousand people have been evacuated out of the area as it continues to erupt. A lot of good information here at en.as.com showing dramatic pictures, nighttime photos, and you can see the lava coming down that slope, that glowing orange, which is right here. Right here in this area is where all this is underway right now as I do this video. So what I wanted to talk about in this video, other than the obvious volcanic eruption, but the possibility of a mega tsunami if the flank right here of this volcano were to slide off into the ocean. Basically a landslide into the ocean. Back in 1959, a 7.2 magnitude earthquake occurred at the Yellowstone supervolcano near Hebgen Lake, and there was a landslide associated with that 7.2 magnitude earthquake. And during this landslide, of all things, hurricane force winds were created by the landslide, strong enough to move parked cars from their location. Just unbelievable. So these things can be very, very strong. Again, there's evidence of this happening around the big island of Hawaii, and yes, it could happen here. But how big would the tsunami be if this were to occur? So what I did, I found some information, some really good information here. These scientists did a peer-reviewed paper and went to great lengths to study the possible side effects of a flank collapse going into the ocean and what the possible tsunami could be following a collapse of the volcano here at La Palma. And the thing that they discussed, and I'm going to post the article down below, and you're more than welcome to read it if you like. And what they talk about here is, yes, there would be a tsunami if there were a collapse of the flank of the volcano. But going into this ahead of time, trying to figure out how big a possible tsunami would be, there's no way of knowing because you don't know how big of the flank would collapse into the water. So I want to read here from Wikipedia.com, and this talks about the possibility of a tsunami if the southern flank of the Kilauea volcano were to collapse into the ocean, would it generate a tsunami strong enough to impact the western United States? Like the Canary Islands, would it generate a tsunami strong enough to affect the eastern United States? So I want to read what I found over here at Wikipedia.com. We talked about this back in 2018. It goes on to say public awareness of and anxiety about so-called megatsunamis was heightened back in 2001 when a respected scientific journal published an article by Stephen Ward and Simon Day claiming that, number one, the Cumbre Vieja volcano in the Canary Islands may experience a catastrophic failure of its west flank that would drop a large volume, perhaps 500 cubic kilometers of rock into the ocean. And number two, the resulting tsunami would hit the African coast with waves as high as 100 meters, 330 feet high, while Florida could expect to see waves 25 meters, 80 foot high. Although no time frame was given, certain ominous developments were described that implied any time now. Goes on to say at almost the same time, a physical modeling study at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology examined the worst case scenario and predicted that the maximum wave amplitude off the east coast of the United States would be less than 1 meter. And they talk about the Caldera collapses and large slope failures associated with volcanic explosions of Krakatoa back in 1883 and Santorin in 1490 BC. They both generated catastrophic local tsunamis, but no waves of great distance were ever reported from those mega events. Yes, a tsunami was associated, but they didn't get very far away from the local area. They go on to say that neither geology nor historic events indicate that Kilauea's southern flank is unusually unstable or that a massive collapse is possible in the foreseeable future. But even if such a collapse happened, as postulated, the far-field effects of the resultant tsunami have been greatly overstated. So once again, just to kind of sum up what they said about a possible mega tsunami, if some portion of the flank of the volcano were to collapse into the ocean, the tsunami would more than likely stay in the local area, yes, affecting the surrounding islands and possibly even the west coast of Africa. But as far as it making the 4,000-mile journey across the Atlantic Ocean, at least with any significance, they said no, that more than likely that is not going to happen, not even under worst case scenarios. Right now, the worst case scenario is there's a lot of lava on the move on the island of La Palma as the volcano continues to erupt right now as I do this video, and you can find more information below down in the description box. Thanks for watching. Have a super day and be safe out there.